So you remember the chaotic server known as Limited Life? Well, basically, I had an idea. What if Third Life was like Limited Life, where if you lose an hour if you die and gain 30 minutes if you kill somebody? So I have a board here with all 24 hours of all the Third Life members, and we want to see what would happen if I simulated the Third Life SMP if it was Limited Life. Well, let's find out. So first things first, everyone will lose 3 hours every single session because of the natural time loss. So then, the first two deaths will happen, which of course is Scar blowing up to the Creeper, and well, Skiz dying to the Enderman, which means Scar will lose an hour and Skiz will lose an hour, putting them on 20 hours each, and everyone else on 21 hours. So session 2 is rather simple if you remember. Everybody will lose 3 hours, and then B-Dubs will fall off building the castle. And so he loses an hour. So B-Dubs, Skiz, and Scar are on 17 hours, where everyone else is on 18. Session 3 might look the same as Session 2, except that when everyone loses 3 hours, they turn yellow, which means some skin changes, which is fun. But yeah, so then obviously Scar will fall in the ravine while singing the Science Bros, and well, die, which turns him red, but not in this. In this, he just loses an hour. So Scar's on 13 hours, Beat Up and Skiz are on 14, and everyone else is on 15 hours. But everyone is yellow. So session 4 is rather interesting, because it's the first session that people actually gain time back. So everyone loses 3 hours at the start, obviously. And, well, Tango's game was the first death. Joel died and Jimmy died, which means Joel loses an hour, Tango gains 30 minutes, and Jimmy loses an hour, Tango gains another 30 minutes. And then we have Grian's trap, which Jimmy set off, killing himself, Ren, and Skiz. So, Jimmy, Ren, and Skiz all will lose an hour, and Grian will gain 90 minutes, which is insane. So, Grian's on 13 and a half hours, Tango's on 13 hours, B-Dubs, Joel, and Ren are on 11 hours. Jimmy, Scar, and Skiz are on 10 hours, and everyone else is on 12 hours. So session 5, huh? So the 3-hour time loss happens, which does turn some people red, which is kind of fun. And then the deaths happen. Martin kills Ren for the Red King. Probably wouldn't happen, but we're going with it. Tango dies in the firing squad to Impulse. Etho dies in the firing squad to Tango. Cleo burns down Joel's roof, which kills Joel. And Grian sets a trap in the castle, which kills B-Dubs in lava. So, Ren loses an hour. Martin gains 30 minutes. Tango loses an hour. Impulse gains 30 minutes. Etho loses an hour. Tango gains 30 minutes. Joel loses an hour. Cleo gains 30 minutes. And B-Dubs loses an hour. Grian gains 30 minutes. So, Grian is on 11 hours. Tango, Cleo, Impulse, and Martin are on 9 hours and 30 minutes. Big B and Scott are on 9 hours. Etho is on 8 hours. And Ren, Skiz, Jimmy, Joel, Scar are on 7 hours. So session 6, the beginning of it is rather interesting, because when everyone loses 3 hours, everyone goes red. Every single person. And then the deaths are really small. Etho dies to Scar, and Cleo dies to Ren. So, Etho will lose an hour, Scar will gain 30 minutes, and Cleo will lose an hour. Ren will gain 30 minutes. So, Etho, Skiz, B-Dubs, Joel, and Jimmy are on 4 hours. Scar and Ren are on 4.5 hours. Cleo's on 5.5 hours. Big B and Scott are on 6 hours. Impulse, Tango, and Martin are on 6.5 hours, and Grian is on a great 8 hours. Session 7, the penultimate episode. Everyone will lose 3 hours because of the natural time loss, but let's just see what happens. So, Scott will die to Etho, Grian will die to Martin, and Jimmy will die to Skiz, all during the Battle of the Red Desert. Then, on escape, Cleo will die to Ren, and Tango will also die to Ren. So, Scott loses an hour, Etho gains 30 minutes, Grian loses an hour, Martin gains 30 minutes, and Jimmy loses an hour, eliminating him, and Skiz will gain 30 minutes from that. And then, Cleo will lose an hour, Ren will gain 30 minutes, and Tango will lose an hour, Ren will gain another 30 minutes. Then, Martin will die to a skeleton, comical, Impulse will die to Scott, Cleo will die to Skiz, and Skiz will then die to Grian. So, Martin loses an hour, Skeleton gains 30 minutes, just kidding. Impulse will lose an hour, Scott gaining 30 minutes. Cleo will lose an hour, Skiz gaining 30 minutes, and Skiz will lose an hour, Grian gaining 30 minutes. So Jimmy's the only one completely out of time. Cleo is on 30 minutes, Skiz, B-Dubs, and Joel are on 1 hour, Etho and Scar are on an hour and a half, Impulse, Tango, Scott, and Ren are on 2 hours and 30 minutes, Big B and Martin are on 3 hours, and Grian is on 4 hours and 30 minutes. So I'm going to change a bit of my rules for this one, just so, it just makes it easier to know when people die. So, yeah, first things first, everyone will lose 45 minutes, because that's about where the first deaths happen in the session. So, Cleo will be eliminated, but that's fine, that doesn't really matter. Then, Big B will die to Scott. So, Big B loses an hour, Scott gains 30 minutes. And then, I'm going to take away another 15 minutes just to kill off Skiz, and then, more deaths. So, Joel will die to Ren, Scott will die to Ren twice, and then Martin will die to Impulse. So, Joel loses an hour, Ren gains 30 minutes, Scott loses an hour, Ren gains 30 minutes, Scott loses another hour, Ren gains 30 minutes, and then Martin loses an hour, Impulse gains 30 minutes. So that means that people are being eliminated. So, now we're going to take away another 30 minutes just so we can even out the times so it's halfway through the session. Next is the Battle of Dogwarts, where Etha will die to Impulse, Impulse will die to Martin, and Tango will also die to Martin. Big B will die to Grian, and then Scar will kill the Red King and Martin. Then B-Dubs get given a clock, so he turns on Impulse, killing him. Then B-Dubs kills Big B, and then B-Dubs kills Grian. So, Etha loses an hour, Impulse gains 30 minutes. Impulse loses an hour, Martin gains 30 minutes. Tango loses an hour, Martin gains another 30 minutes. Big B loses an hour, Grian gains 30 minutes. Ren loses an hour, Scar gains 30 minutes. Martin loses an hour, Scar gains another 30 minutes. Then, Impulse loses an hour, B-Dubs gains 30 minutes. And then, Big B will lose an hour, and then B-Dubs will gain another 30 minutes. And then finally, Grian will lose an hour, and B-Dubs will gain another 30 minutes. And then I'm going to take away an hour, just so it's all kind of even up. So, then we have ourselves the final bit of battle. So, B-Dubs dies to Scar, Scar dies to Grian, and then Grian kills himself. So, in the end, B-Dubs will lose another hour, Scar will gain 30 minutes, Scar will lose an hour, Grian will gain 30 minutes, and then Grian will lose an hour. And then the time will lose another 30 minutes. So let's look at the results and how they're different. So in 12th place we have Big B, Joel, and Jimmy with -3 hours. Then in 10th place we have Cleo and Etho with -2.5 hours lost. Then in 8th place we have Scott and Skiz with -2 hours lost. Then in 5th place we have B-Dubs, Impulse, and Tango with -1.5 hours lost. Then in 3rd place we have Scar and Martin with -1 hour, pretty good. Then in 2nd place we have Ren, who actually broke even with 0 hours lost in total. But in 1st place we have Grian with 30 minutes able to be lived throughout the next session. Really good Grian, huh? Let me know in the comments if you want me to do this for Last Life. Hopefully we have time before the next Life series, even though we all want it to happen.